Hi. Okay. All right. So yeah. I have many videos already explaining this, so it's explaining to you again what's happened now in the country. This predicament. I'm gonna have to try and elaborate for you. Predicament. You don't believe me that when they put Joseph, the brothers of Israel put Joseph down the well, and these 14 brothers getting along together is the most important thing in the world. It's the red stripes of the American flag. Again, all of my videos. You don't believe me, but if they don't get along, or if the main centre one, like a menorah, the main centre branch, is harmed, Joseph in this case was the favourite child. Sorry about it, just happens to exist a bit of favouritism in the world. Although I say to you, all love your children equally, you do probably have a favourite. No, you probably do love all your children equally. Jacob did love all his children equally, but the brothers don't really get along, so families don't get along as always. No, you don't believe me that the whole world will fall into famine, war, pestilence, plague, and disease. The entire world. If this one, I know it's the esoteric device of the Bible. I figured that out for you. I'll let you know I understood that. Esoteric device of the Bible. Yes, it's strange. It's weird, isn't it? So you can call it magical if you want, but if this family gets messed with, or this main person gets messed with, and he did, he got put down a well. Like Samara in the ring, an immortal got put down a well because it was problematic. People didn't know how to deal with it properly, and they oublié. They did what the French did. They patmosed. They put the kid down the well, and the kid rotted down that well. The immortal rotted down the well for the 7 years and 14 years, and then was in your waters. You see a lot of this in the ring, the waters with Samara. And she's in your computers and TVs until everybody knows her story. Everybody knows the truth about her. So it was the weird conundrum that spread afterwards of the video, that everybody had to watch the video and you had to pass it on to everybody else, and it had to spread. You had to tell somebody about it. So you tell somebody about me, basically. If you hear about it, you're going to fall into trouble if you don't say do something and tell a friend. Okay. So they put Joseph down the well. Now, they thought about this and they had a bad feeling about it, and they actually sold him off then from the well into slavery into Egypt. And they are gypsies. You might like this guy. These are all gypsies. And they sold him back to Egypt. So you love all that gypsy shit. Sorry, excuse me. So he rotted in a jail cell in Egypt then for 7 years, and the whole world turned to famine, pestilence, war, and plague everywhere because Joseph was down at the well. I can't believe this is basic, but every mistake in the book is, basic Bible story times. Okay, anyway, here we go. The Pharaoh of the time realized that he had a very important person in the basement. He found out he was a prophet because he could interpret things. And he immediately, this is the important thing, Potiphar immediately was like, oh crap, I had a fucking treasure in the dungeon. I had a fucking super genius fucking prophet in the dungeon. Oh, sorry about that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were like kind of awesome and intuitively, and God is with you and that. I might like you to work for me. Here's an office of Potiphar, and this office prospered massively, so blatantly so. Every job I had, they always prospered. So there was no famine in Egypt when everywhere else in the world was falling apart, and this is a bit like Ireland at the moment, who are somewhat tending to me, and the weather is lovely and annoyingly beautiful in Ireland, and everywhere else is catastrophe in Ireland while I'm still here. I'm still in the basement, technically. Now, this is the problem with Ireland and Sinn Féin and the IRA, or the Irish government in particular, and their Swiss friends and the Rose World, and then lots of royalty and lots of other politicians around the world. You can see why they don't want it to flip, because they're all got their hands in the cookie jar. They realise they have Joseph in the basement, and what they have done, particularly in Ireland, is like, shit, don't tell anyone. Because they're like embarrassed about it or something, or they still want to just conceal their scandal, their mistake. Potiphar just immediately said, oh crap, didn't realise we had you in the dungeon there, sainted angel, Mr. Immortal. Instantly. And they've realised, and they're like, oh, what will people say? Oh, we'll be in trouble. Oh, so they didn't immediately do this apology of Potiphar that's required. And instead, they're trying to conceal it. Like it has to be, because I've contacted everyone. Every journalist, departments of justice, my government, the Vatican, the Catholic Church, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, You know, yeah, because it's everyone. You know, it's like, you know, Boris even has this thing, I can't help you if you're not in my constituency. And I was like, I appreciate that, Mr. Johnson, but this will affect everybody, and it is affecting everybody. It's affecting everybody's sperm. I get barraged by abuse all day, every day, and everything they call me is written on all of your sperm. They are breaking your balls. I have this in another video as well. They call me a stupid dipshit. They call me horrible criminal names. They call me a murderer and rapist and all this, and like horrible names that they're putting onto me. But that is all can be. And I keep telling them, it's like, you know, this is written on your sperm. Everything that you put on me, all the mud you sling on me is muddying up your balls. You really broke your balls anyway, didn't you, when you crucified Mr. Super Cairo? Jingle. This isn't Celebration beer, this is like Noah beer or Elijah beer. You know, I'm waiting around. Yes, there's a beer in the dungeon in Ireland. So they are desperately concealing it, and they're breaking your balls. And they're not even breaking your balls, but they're like, war, like, it's not even a war, like, it's going to lead to world war, people saying, but it's not even, it's just war everywhere, isn't it? It's not just one big war, one big fight start, it's just war starting everywhere. There won't be any sides to take because everybody will be at war, and that's what they did. They've been competing over and in the temple, competing over the temple, in the temple for like in 7 years in the Bible, like, you know, in ancient Bible times, in 7 years they had it sorted. And I gave the warning of Joseph, the prophecy of Joseph, in like 6.5 good time. Like, you know, I was on the ball in year 6 or maybe 6.5. I gave him, it was like, and now it's 8 or 9 you're in now. So these are like worse. I've said this as well. These are worse than the Bible, and you have Bibles, and you're still worse than the Bible. Like, not even a child washed. Yeah, they're concealing it, and it's a big it's terrible because like they're so selfish. They like want to conceal their scandal, and like, but the whole world will be destroyed while you're concealing this scandal, and they're so selfish that they're willing to let you all die rather than. It's desperate. I don't know. I know there's a lot more insulting going on at the moment, which is good because desperate devils. They must be desperate because that is like the last resort of some gypsy coward is you to just start barking insults towards the end and just rapidly barking insults. No, I can handle it. No, right. You won't be able to handle it. I can handle it. There'll be nothing left except me. I'll be fine. So yeah, I wanted to make this earlier on today. I had a terrible time during the day most of the time, and a bit more settled at night time. But there's a lot more emergency in the town when I figured out they have to be ignoring me. Cause I made a video recently about the corruption of the Gardaí. Things got better afterwards, but only 4 people watched that video, or that's what the algorithm on YouTube says. I sent that to about 60 different. I sent that to solicitors, I sent that to journalists, I sent it to politicians, I sent that to so many places. And I wrote on, it's like, you can't all be corrupt. So, like, you know, they'll see that, oh shit, these journalists know and shit. And even if they do have a mop-up job, like a Pinkerton mop-up job, like, they couldn't have got them all. It gave them too much of a workload. That's what they call it, a workload. Hiding the profit, concealing the profit. They call it a workload. It's like their work. It's funny. It's not really. It's horror. It's torment. They're blatantly concealing me. So I was like, if they're... Yeah, cheers, Dad. They're blatantly concealing and opposing me. And I'm trying to give prophecy and teaching, then they're blatantly anti-prophet, aren't they? They reveal themselves, you know what I mean? Because they hire anyone. They hire absolutely anyone. They'll work with anyone, just like Pinkerton. They'll hire absolutely anyone, but they won't help or hire or work with me. So it's blatantly obvious, you know. Yeah, I could do a few gypsy tricks. I went to Cordoba originally trying to get help off a Caliphate of Islam. Little Christian scholar in like a Jewish t-shirt at the time. And I went to get help from Islam, and I walked by some bush, you know, and it started vibrating while I walked by, and I noticed that it was vibrating. So I stopped and walked back and forth to it. I was like, oh, it is vibrating to me, and I went close and it violently vibrated when I got close to it. So I could do a little gypsy trick like that or something like that if you're having trouble believing in the reality of heater bees. You know, I've said this as well, I've explained it. I can explain. I do my best work with my back against the wall. John Lennon. I really have fucking it's been a horrible jihad, but I have had to figure it all out, and I have pretty much figured it all out. It's terrible. Irish TV is really annoying me. Like, ask me anything, ask me any question with Saoirse Ronan or something like this, and it's like, no, it's supposed to be me. Ask me anything. That's what I was bragging. Like, you can ask me anything. And then Keys to My Life, and even The Masked Singer, and all this. I can't sing anymore. He gave me a lobotomy. Thanks for that. I was formerly Masked Singer. Public Enemy #1. So yeah, this is Mecca and Sin in the world. They're desperately hiding and concealing their scandal, and yous are all falling into. You'll have stillborn babies. You can see a lot of that, infertility, NFLM. You can send all your stillborn babies to the Irish government and say, say whatever you want to say to them. Was there more to this? I had more. Joseph down the well, out in 7. Prosper, full office. Then the typical problems again with envy. Potterful loved him. He thought he was great, Joseph, but then the wife, was also not envious, but then there's these things of like, oh, he's amazing, and the wife made it go, and he wouldn't ever go with the wife, and she screwed him over anyway. The thing is, like, it's the only point in the Bible where things go right. Every other event and sequence of events are all like Jeremiah, really, really crap. Went absolutely boom down to 0. Jeremiah. Different ways it approached growing into a stability and out of stabilities and growing up in different ways. Moses had a lot of work to do. He was a really fucking cool prophet. Very, very, very fucking hard working prophet was Moses. But this is the only event really at the beginning where you see it resolved. Actually, so the first event, it falls into perdition very quickly on, and it actually they fix it. Joseph fixed it. There's 2 world religions. Remember that with Joseph family, Christianity and Islam. 2 world religions for one family, Mr. Joseph. When he was back with his family in Egypt, and they all haplessly bowed to him and said, "Hello, my lord." It's so hilarious. Like, they bow to a stranger. They're willing to bow to a stranger and say like hello and greet him as their lord, when he was like somewhat disguised in Egypt, and they didn't even realize. And they're like, "Do you not recognize me? It's me, your brother." And they just bowed to him because they bowed to him haplessly. He's like, "See, exactly as I said." I told you would all bow to me one day. And it is what he said. And they did all bow to him then. But it's so crazy. They're willing to bow to a stranger, an apparent stranger, but they weren't willing to bow to their own brother for some sort of envious reason or something, or humility. So I have these Simons and Reubens and all these families. They were technically the French, the Swiss, the Dutch, the Irish, every different country. I'd say there's probably about 14. Norway, all countries that I probably all thought were very cool for one reason or another reason, and they all totally put me, Joseph, down the well because he was Mr. Favorite. He was the favorite boy. So yeah, eat your humble pie, babe. It's basically, get your shoe shining kit. If you want to save your sperm. His friends, his brothers have to respect him. Of course, Michael. Of course, Michael. And you all die systematically from Passover and coronavirus until you figure it out. What's that one again? They play you run around the chairs. All kids' games are really creepy. Not messing. Pin the tail on the donkey is pretty creepy. They all have weird metaphors. I like the Christmas hats and the little paper crown, because everybody's a king under Christianity, and everyone has a little bit of the paper, little light, little crown, little bit of the wood, and everybody's a king. It'll be hell on earth if everyone was a Christian. It'll all be hell on earth. And it's like, hello. That's why you say hello. It's kind of like sarcastic. Like, Christianity everywhere, and it's pretty fucking nice. And like, there'll all be like super powered Saiyans all flying all over the earth and fighting. It's like, no, it's actually kind of nice. Yeah, everyone gets on. Hello. So, hello, magazine. If everyone sees your face and know you, miss, it'll be hell on earth. And they go, hello, magazine. And you see them on the cover of Hello Magazine. I might be on the cover of Hello Magazine one day. Yeah. It'll be a funny change of events. Instead of the boxy Vinzas or whatever they are. Is he a family? They'd all still be alive. They're all dying systematically from Passover because they don't love me. And I'm so lovable. I'm just so lovable, Charlie. I probably would have even got on with Philip, you know, after a few whiskies or something like that. I'd probably get on with Phil. You know, I've dealt with your kind before. In India. I've dealt with men of your kind. Ray Winston, I've dealt with men of your kind before. What the fuck are you talking about, Charlie? I will civilise these lands. What the fuck are you talking about, Charlie? If you ever touch my fucking brother again, I'll blow your fucking head off. I just love it. I can say the whole fucking film it is the best film ever. It is. Aliens and Godfather are up there, but like, you know, that is just the best film ever. That's a misanthrope. Dirty fucking blackguard that doesn't care for a fucking soul. I didn't ask you, you big black bastard, you. He's right, Sam. He's right. Misanthrope is one who hates all mankind. Is that what we are then? Misanthropes? God knows, Sam, we're a family. Hanging My Geek on Christmas. John Hurt's in it as well. Fucking excellent casting. All movies are casting. Look at that Star Wars crap. It was terrible. Terrible. Casting is everything. Fucking casting. Yeah, John Hurt's pretty fucking amazing. He's called John Hurt. And he's always screaming in pain. He just does it so fucking well. Saw one scene of him. He's in a courtroom movie. It was a courtroom or some sort of thing. And you want to see the gripping suspense he had on his face, like, we're gonna cut to you, and we want you to be looking interested in the case, and you see them, and like some actor would just be like leaning in, like, oh, I'm listening. Turn to John Hurt, and you just see this painting's image blast in your face with this gripping suspense. It's just fucking. Oh, the Congo, Mr. Murphy, I've travelled it all, but nothing could prepare me for this hell that is Australia. He sits up there in his mother's attic. Can't kill him. The blacks say he's a spirit. I fucking love that movie. Chenko's great. You whiteies should pee a lot. I like Chenko. He was a traitor native. I just love this. It's just so fucking great. Like, I did make more of those films. Like, original Australian films. They're fucking awesome. And the imagery in that film is even wonderful. Like, you wouldn't even notice it. Like, you see two dogs and one's on a chain. And they look like the same dog. And it's just like perfect Australian poetry. It's like two types of white men are coming, like Irish and British, maybe. And one of them's on a chain. One of them keeps the other on a chain, kind of thing. I wouldn't mind making one. I've got a good great idea. It's like, like Victorian plantations, and I don't know what I've no memory, so I just ramble sometimes. We were talking about Zelensky or something. With Zelensky, I know I did say I had a Jewish T-shirt on me. Like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Zelensky's selling his fucking death wear, Zelensky wear. With his sponsoring. That's a weird pseudo Jewish Kabbalah symbol. Yeah, it's not great. Some lad was trying to show me, actually, and he's kind of made it out. I was like, I wouldn't put an upside down pentagram in there, but yeah, I wouldn't, but the Sephiroth including would suggest that. But yeah, Zelensky, where? What the fuck were we talking about? Oh yeah, don't fucking touch me, brother. We've tried everything else. You want me to kill me, brother? Oh, I won't. Oh, no, I'm gonna get mixed up in my character. I want you to kill your brother. I want you to kill. What's his name again? Awful, man. Some dreadlock fucking hippie older brother. And they get the very capable blondie younger brother. And then they take the other gentle. I have this exactly explicit in my life. And they take the other gentle, most innocent brother hostage. Explicitly my fucking family. It's hilarious. I love those fucking films so much. Molly O'Boyle. Does she cook a good stew, does she, Charlie? I'm tired. Molly O'Boyle, my arse. That's what it was. Okay, here's the scene. I'm pitching this to Guy Pearce now or something. So, yeah, they land and settlements, and kind of liking the proposition, but different. It's a bit too proposition-y to maybe the thing. The Ray Winston kind of guy. No, not Ray Winston. I'm mixing up everyone now. Oh yeah, it is Ray Winston. Kind of guy turns around to like Irish prisoners that get deported out to Australia. He's like, we're going to give you a gun, and we're going to give you an horse, and we're going to give you a pouch of tobacco, and we want you to go pretty much out into the wild of Australia. And they just sent them off to shake up the bushmen, to shake up the people, to shake up, see what you find, and shake it all up. And you tell them white man has come, and white man wants to make business and bring ports and trade, and white man wants to negotiate and meet with them. And they send Paddy off on the horses with a gun and a bit of tobacco. And then Paddy comes by the bushmen, and he's so Irish, he makes friends with them. And he sits down and explains to them, these men, these British men, are coming to your country to invade you. You have to go out there and tell them white man wishes to make like a Roman proposition, like plantations. But then the Irish go out and it's like, they came to our country and fucking raped us and robbed us, and they're coming to your country to fucking rape and rob you. It's like, don't believe a word they say. And then they're kind of friends, and they're trying to figure it out. So it's like, so they look like me. They look better. They're a bit better dressed than me, but they look like me. They kind of sound like me. And 2 dogs and one's in chain. Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome. Pretty fucking awesome, Victorian. What were we talking about? Zelensky or something. I'm gonna dye these soon. I'm gonna dye them snake colours, and like red tips on their tongues, and make Medusa head on me. So, and my friend's gonna like stitch eyeballs into them, crochet eyeballs into them or something. So literally have a big Medusa head on me. It's not my problem. I'm a nice person. There's a big temple full of gypsies sitting around wanking all day, chanting my mother's name or something. Medusa head. Yes, there must be a gypsy. What would Jesus do? Get the gypsies out of the temple. What would Jesus do? Get the gypsies out of the temple. Yeah. And what's funny is like, anyone that disses Jesus, he did what no one on earth at the moment seems to be able to do. And I was thinking, if it does get to the point of scarletry, like in Elijah, or 500 AD, where everybody's marked in scarletry and nobody can save me, then it's like, then God will have to like send a machine from the future. Yeah, a machine from the future. It's a weird little paradox in it. Apparently immortal machine, but it's funny because almost like electricity, doesn't matter where you start or begin, but time might be like this. Anyway, in the movie, to justify how to say it, the machine probably was immortal, but the only reason the machine was immortal was because he saved the Don. He saved John, and John loved the machine for doing this, just like Jesus saved John the Baptist. John the Baptist loved Jesus, thought he was an amazing. Can't believe like this little hero kid actually turned the tides of time and flipped it over and saved the poor Levite, the starving priest, from bearing the burden of all the world. He was bearing a really bad burden, so he was drinking beer, like John the Baptist, and he hangs out with beer guzzling jokers. The beer guzzling jokers. Yeah, sour grapes, Patrick. Oh, look at these David locks. I said he had strange hair and ate honey and strange things, and criticised his clothing that he wore ancient garments and things of the ancient matriarchal period. Yes, sound familiar? Public enemy number 1. I reckon that's what happened. Forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. And it's like, alright, we'll do the whole thing again, and then we'll get around to it where the point is like, that's what I say all the time. It's like, no, this is what's hilarious about it. They know what they're doing this time, and I know they know what they're doing because I told them so. I fucking figured it out. I cracked it. I got down into the Bible, man, and like broke it, and I figured it out. And sorry, just thinking about John Lennon a lot there. After reading the book, Yeah, oh boy. Oh boy. I saw a movie today, oh boy. The Gypsies won the war. Wait, didn't England win the war? Oh no, oh boy. England are gypsies, aren't they? We're talking about Zelensky or something. I just thought if nobody had any memory, there'd be no wars and stuff in the world, and there'd be no like pride and vengeance in the world. No, but there would be. You still be proud and vengeful and stuff. It's just no memory. It's just you're just fucking. Ever seen Memento? I couldn't remember the name of the movie. Ever seen Memento? Another guy appears with him. Yeah, another guy appears with him. Oh, that's what we were talking about, wasn't it? Oh yeah, Zelensky. Oh yeah, Australia. I'll get if you the horse. I'll get if you till Christmas. And it was hilarious as well, Australian humour. Nobody knew what day of the week it was down there. Nobody was keeping, nobody had a clock, nobody was keeping Julian or whatever Victorian calendar. When's Christmas, Charlie? And that's like really funny. Martha. There's so many likeable characters in that film, but you know, you just have to love Ray Winston so much. He's just trying his best. And he is at the centre of it, trying his best, and his wife, and his wife's always crying, and then like incompetent lad, and they're all sitting around like, yeah, we all want to fuck Mrs. Stanley, we all want to. So like, you know what I mean? They're not hardly singing the praises of their commander, you know, and defending the honour and dignity of his wife like you do, like in good order. They're like sitting around like, yeah, we all want to bunk the wife of our commander, bunk the wife of the lamb kind of thing, bunk the wife of the I'm like, yeah, these are fucked, aren't they? He's kind of incompetent, and he's got this, like, you know, Weasley, great, well, he's a great actor, sorry, but it's Weasley guy breathing down his neck. And then he's got these psychopathic Irish to deal with, and then he's got these the original people to be dealing with. That was definitely like Latin, that, you know, like a white man comes to the country and they're like, we're the original people of this country, and then they turn around like, and like William Regal's there is like, actually we are closer in divinity to original source and God, and you are standing in front of us, so you are ab-originals, because like they're so fucking deadly, like they think they're like closer to God than anyone. So actually these people went through holy perdition, and that's why they're so fucking you know, that way, because they went down to holy fucking perdition, and they were the salt of the earth. And they're probably a lot more royal than any Windsor or Celtic fucking master that showed up down in Australia. They went down and they fucking ground it down. Battle Royale. And the last people on earth at Battle Royale were very fucking black, weren't they? They weren't consumed by the fire. The fires left them unscathed. Happens in the book of Daniel, if I can explain that to you. It has run on a bit, actually, about half an hour. They bring them down to the great wall of fire, some burning ring of fire, and everybody in the earth goes down, 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 and the flames get higher, 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 and it burns. It really burns. You get that ring of fire. It burns some anyway, but it doesn't burn anyone.